The impact of Spain's colonization of the Americas was profound, as it led to the elaborate, expansive, and prosperous inter-Atlantic commercial system that impacted 4 continents and changed the lives of people in all of them. One major consequence of Spain's empire is referred to as the Columbian Exchange, a transfer of goods, people, and diseases between the New and Old World. From the Old World came disease, which sadly led to the deaths of anywhere between 50% and 90% of the native population. The percentages cited depends on the sources you read. Besides disease, the Old World brought over cattle, chickens, citrus fruits, grapes, onions, pigs, sugarcane, rice, wheat, and horses. From the New World also came disease, but the effects were not nearly as detrimental. The New World also introduced chocolate, corn, peanuts, potatoes, pumpkins, tobacco, turkeys, and tomatoes, to name a few. Spain ended up establishing an American empire from the southern tip of South America up to Florida in the southwest of North America. Once Spain discovered, colonized, and acquired numerous valuable resources such as gold, other European nations, taking advantage of maritime technologies and inventions from the scientific revolution, also began exploring and colonizing. In the Americas, Portugal acquires Brazil. France colonizes some islands in the West Indies, and a few, mostly persecuted Protestants, the Huguenots, settle in what is today called Canada. However, very few French settled and formed colonies in the New World. The Dutch also established colonies in the West Indies and, in North America, founded New Netherlands and its primary city, New Amsterdam. Today they are called New York and New York City. This Dutch settlement was founded primarily for economic reasons, and, like the French, it was not heavily populated. In what is known today as Delaware, New Sweden was established, but again, it, compared to later English settlements, was sparsely populated. Notice that for the most part, North America, what becomes the United States, was essentially and providentially left untouched until the English arrive. England took its time getting into the colonization game as they were struggling with internal strife, part of their continued process of limiting their monarchy's power and authority. Interestingly, as most of Europe is beginning the process of increased centralization of power and authority, England is struggling in the opposite direction. This struggle is centuries long. England does begin their attempts at establishing settlements in the New World during the last 25 years of the 16th century. But the first effort ends in tragedy at sea, and the second, though started at Roanoke Island, fails because international affairs prevent importation of necessary supplies. By the time men and ships arrive, not a single settler is found. One of the only clues was the word Croatan, carved into a tree. What happened to the original settlers is still unknown. Some say they were likely slaughtered by natives. Others think they may have sold themselves into slavery to the natives in order to survive. Still others hypothesize that they were absorbed into native tribes, as years later some Indians were discovered to have green and blue eyes. Whatever happened, the Roanoke settlement has since been referred to as the Lost Colony. The international affair that interrupted the Roanoke settlement had to do with the rising tension and conflict with Spain, which was the result of Queen Elizabeth encouraging English sea dogs, or pirates, in their attacks on Spanish vessels coming back with loads of New World treasures, and, to a certain extent, partly the result of England abandoning Catholicism and adopting Protestantism. The turning point of this war was also a turning point in world history. It occurred in 1588, when a Spanish armada was sent to conquer England. The English were more or less resigned to the reality that they were going to lose. Their navy at the time was much weaker than that of Spain's. But, as Providence would have it, a storm occurred during the battle and the larger, more powerful Spanish ships could not maneuver as well as the smaller, more agile English ships, the result being a huge Spanish defeat. The blessing of this storm was referred to by the English as the Protestant wind, a divine wind, the same name the Japanese gave to the storms that saved them from the invasion of a more powerful China centuries ago. Only, in Japanese, that Protestant wind, that divine wind, is called kamikaze. This battle, in 1588, marked the beginning of the end of Spain's dominance and the beginning of England's. Finally, and again providentially, by the time England, or more accurately English citizens, began settlement of North America, the Protestant Reformation had run its course, and the Calvinist ideology and theology it helped spawn played a more than significant role in establishing the founding principles the eventual United States would be based upon.